Hello everyone and welcome to this week's episode of Pingispågarna. In this week's episode we are going to cover the theme of short pimples and how to play with the short pimples. I am not an expert within this particular material. However, I have a friend and a club player who uses this, so I have brought him in for this episode to show us how he plays with his short pimples in backhand.
My name is Max Noresson. I play in Pingispågarna and I play with short pimples, and I have been playing with it for the last 10 years, I think. There is few different pimples. There is short pimple, there is half long, and there is long, as most of you know. However, short pimples are quite similar to normal rubber. The difference is it's quite much easier to just hit through the ball. It's not so spin sensitive, and there are some that has some effect that medium and long pimples have as well. However, the thicker sponge you have, the more like a normal rubber it behaves, and therefore mostly the players like Mattias Falk, Emile, that plays with short pimples that are quietly famous. Emile has it on backhand, Mattias Falk has it on forehand. So, how do you use the short pimple rubber? For instance, in serve returns, it's quite easy to go in, make an aggressive chop, just go in here. Or you can just flip the ball, since it's quite spin insensitive, you can just go in, flip the ball. If the opponent pushes the return long backhand, this can get quite difficult, for there is two different ways you can handle it. One option is to do a dummy loop. A dummy loop is when you just drive up the ball like this, like a loop. And it looks like there's a lot of spin on it, but there is nothing. The ball is quite empty, it's quite dead. You just go down like this. Maybe try to hit the ball at the highest point, or wait a little bit till it drops. Just go in, and just with a snatch with the wrist, just go up like this. This creates like a dead ball coming from you. Different way you can do it, second option, is to hit through the ball. Then you take the ball at the highest point, go down like this, and you hit through the ball. Try to kill the ball. That is the two best options to do that. So how do I use it in games? The most efficient one I know is when I make a service with like side spin and the opponent returns in my backhand. I will just put the racket like this. So when the ball goes over to the other side, it will have exactly the same spin as I put on the service. Why is that? I have no clue, to be honest. It's a magical phenomenon with short pimples. There is surely somebody that can explain it. I just love to use it. So the other options is when the opponent plays a topspin ball to you, you can either block and with pressure forward, it will create a tiny bit of backspin. So the opponent will just try to play the ball back, and it will just dive to the net. Other thing is, when an opponent plays like a hard ball, you can just take the racket and try to just hold it, or like move it just a tiny bit back at the same time the ball hits the racket. When doing this, it will create some wobbling effect with the ball, and then the speed will slow down as well, creating a quite, not impossible, but a quite difficult ball to return from the opponent. If you are a player that likes to play aggressive and you're quite spin sensitive on your backhand, I will suggest you try short pimples.
Okay guys, thanks for watching this week's episode. I'm grateful that Max took his time to come here and talk a little about his material, the short pimple rubber. Like, comment, subscribe on this video, and don't miss next week's episode, because then I will explain to you guys how to play against the short pimple rubber. So see you next week, 20:00 Swedish time.